Welcome to episode 17 in Dean Smiles, and today it's on Stormy Smiles, the literal and the figurative smiles that go with stormy weather. First off, I'm Dean, a retired middle school science teacher and STEM teacher, and stories were all about what I grew up with my family, and I used it in my life and in my classroom, and I want to give something back. And also, in a way of smiles, they make you feel good, and they are so contagious and give in such a beautiful way. So since last time, thank you for the comments. I don't take these videos lightly because it's been so beautiful communicating and hearing from people that actually watch them, and it puts a smile on their face. So it's been heavy here, heavy weather. We've gotten a lot of rain. You watch the news, and towns and rivers are just getting flooded in a way that we haven't seen for many, many years. I grew up on a farm, and weather was, oh my gosh, weather dictated our lives. We watched it all the time. But what I realized is when bad weather happened, my dad, my grandpa didn't get grumpy. It was like, we're waiting, we're planting the crops, and Mother Nature just hasn't decided whether she's going to give it to us or not. We just have to be ready. And I always thought that was interesting, and especially the good that it brought out in people helping others out. Mike Childs got hit with hail, and I remember we were in the midst of a lot of work in our field, on our farm, if you will, and Mike he had to totally dig up his crop to replant it and hopefully get something in return for beans. The neighbors, everybody just dug in, and you just did it. And it's one of those farm things that I look back at, instead of complaining, it's like, hey, time is money. We have to keep moving so that we can get something out of this. Well, you can see the crops and the puddles were a lot bigger than this, but all of those farm puddles have to be drained into creeks and rivers, and all of those creeks and rivers continue down the line, and first thing you know, this is what it looked like in our downtown, and it had to continue down the Cannon River, and it went to Lake Billsby, and then it's going to eventually connect and be with the Mississippi River. It's just crazy how it gets momentum, and you might not get a lot of rain, but because of floods down the road. Well, the smiles that have come are how people help each other. You see the stories, sandbagging, people rolling up their sleeves to help those that are impacted by the flooding. And yes, you could complain, but I think it's so cool, and I think it's one of the farm values that I'm very pleased that I had a chance to be a part of. So that's the smiles that come from, even though it's a heavy time, it's cool to see people helping each other out and doing it maybe not with a great big smile, but taking the pride and the grin, if you will, to help each other out, and that's been good to see. Storm days on the farm, going back to that, the actual ones, we used to watch big fronts, big cloud systems come up, and it was always so interesting who got hit and who got spared, because I remember one time there was a big front coming, and hail literally wiped out our neighbor across the road, and we had a little damage, but not enough to do anything to it. And I always think, you know, just which side of the line are you on, and to be grateful that you're there and that you made it. Well, the stormy days that have nothing to do with the clouds are, you know, life is bumpy. Family, friends that are going through stuff that's bumpy. If you don't think that's going to happen, you're crazy. And you gotta find the silver lining. And the smiles are still there, but it's hard for us to see them sometimes. And that can-do attitude taught me that be the best and don't give up and work your hardest. When you're doing a job, be early. Do your best to do what is asked of you and complete the job. And be the last one to leave as you're figuring things out. And I always thought that was interesting that my parents told me, and my grandparents, and it was just the way we lived. But it made such a big difference, and just moving on and up. Well, also it was a little heavy. We, as you know, my mom has dementia, and she's still happy, still recognizes me. There's been some bumps in the road with that. And we bought this Nomo care system just to try to keep an eye on her, because we want to give her dignity. She likes having her own place. But then, you know, there's things, because of memory, we can't always get to the bottom of things. So I went over to install it. She was there, and everything went wrong. Totally went wrong. It wasn't syncing with my device. It was making her agitated. And I was just like, okay, let's go for a drive. She loved going for a drive. And we went and picked up a treat. She asked if she could watch TV at my place. And watching TV, she likes to click a lot. But we stumbled onto a crossword game show. We played it together and had a blast. And Mom was responsive, and she was engaged. And it was so cool. And if I hadn't had that bumpy, stormy experience installing her system, we wouldn't have had that time together. And when I drove her back, I put a smile on my face, and it was coffee time, so she was ready to be done with me and go hang out with her friends. Is that not beautiful? That is just cool. And if everything had gone smooth, I would have missed out on that. So embracing those stormy things. Also, down that line, we were driving back from a baseball game, stopped to pick up a treat. There was a car next to us. There were two girls in the front and someone in back, and they just gave me a big wave as we parked our vehicle. And I couldn't really tell, and Darla said, "They're still waving at you." So I gave them this peace sign, gave them my biggest smile back, and they were so happy, and they were talking to each other, and to me it was like, is this a game to get me to wave and smile or what have you? But it was cool. I get out of the car to go into the store, and they just said, thank you for the cool wave. That just made me feel so good, and I love how you waved with waving with a peace sign. It's something I've always done. I'd wave to kids in school with a peace sign, and we both left smiling, and I knew I had to mention them. Moving on to hidden smiles, you know, as you saw up here, the graduation episode where graduation smiles. Well, I'm starting to get thank yous, and this just totally put a smile on my face and a lump in my throat. Look at these cool thank yous. Every one of them obviously was thanking for the gift and thanking for being there, but they all wrote a detailed, depending upon how well I knew them, a connection. And my thing that I always said in the classroom is, don't be a stranger, staying in touch. And in some way, shape, or form, the graduates are like, I can't wait to share with you what I'm doing in my next days at school, because it had science related. Don't worry, I'm gonna stay in touch. They were such heartwarming, thoughtful thank you cards that these kids definitely took extra time to fill out. Finishing off, last time we talked about the draft and connecting with each other using digital tools, digital smiles, tech smiles. Well, Igor was with his player and number one NBA pick overall. I'm messaging Igor and he's at the draft, obviously, and we're going back and forth congratulating him. That's cool. Then our basketball family, we're all messaging back and forth. And then my basketball peeps, they knew of Igor. And first thing you know, the NBA draft had such a cool smile meaning, and I'm so thankful for that. So, Stormy Smiles, yeah, life is going to get stormy. There's no doubt about it. But don't let it take away from the gifts and the smiles that are waiting for you or hidden for you by getting caught up and where you're missing out on it. And keep that can-do attitude to where, you know, if I get too salty and I get too sad, I'm gonna miss that crossword moment with my mom. I'm going to miss how good those cards felt and miss that experience. Thank you for being here. Thank you for making it to this point. And I would love to hear how you find smiles on those stormy days of life. Next time, I'm working on my 6 reasons why smiles are so great, and I thought it would be easy, but it's not. More to come with that. Till next time, keep smiling.
Smiling days we all can share.